Okay guys, it's the last day of instruction, the last section for Winter Palace. You're excited. I'm probably the most excited. At this last section, everybody has had this theme before. It's interesting because we've all had it at different times. The first violins had it at 41, seconds at 29, violas 53, and cello bass 17. It says a cello rondo here at 120. It doesn't give us any indication of tempo, but I'm going to assume that we're going to be working back towards where we started originally in measure 17, which we decided was eighth note equals 260. Since all of you guys have played this before in some way, shape, or form, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I will definitely point out some things for each part. Remember that this slap on the string is going to be kind of a thud. The more weight you can put into it, and I think the lower in your fingers that you can hit it, if you try to do it with your fingertips, it ends up sounding not very strong. So I just find the best way to flatten out my hand and hit it kind of as hard as possible, as harsh as that sounds. And don't come off because we don't want the strings to ring. We just want to get like a thud. The other thing I'll just point out is that we are all in octaves here, so in unison in various octaves playing the same note. When we have played this theme before, we started on G, and now obviously we're starting on D. I'm going to go ahead and group the violins and talk to you guys first and seconds together because you're actually exactly the same for most of this. With that being said, go ahead and click the description box for your timestamp and let's get into it. Okay, violins. So, like I said, you guys are playing the exact same part from 120 through the end of 123, and then you break into octaves. So just talking about the fingerings for this first part here. Second violins, for some unknown reason, you don't have the fingering printed, but the first violins do. Everybody's going to shift on that A to third position in measure 120. So you've got in third position, down on the G sharp, again up to the A, down on the G sharp, and that takes you to the end of measure 123. Now, second violins, you do that all again a couple more times, so copy and paste the fingering in for that. So first violins, then at 124, you guys hop up the octave. I disagree with the printed fingering here. You've got a 2 marked on the E in measure 124. What I think we are going to do is, in 124, you're going to go to third position on the D. The only reason for this is so that you can get that slap, because what I found was when I was trying to do it in first position, because I thought, why would you shift here, right? When I was trying to do it in first position, there was nothing to slap. My pinky wasn't making enough noise, and I didn't think that we were going to be able to lift it up and do it again like D, lift, hit, just because of the speed. So if you do it in third position, you can leave your 1 down and use your other 3 fingers to slap on that second beat. So in 124, you've got 1 slap, then I would go to open E. If you stay in third position, you're going to have to do that A to G sharp, and I just don't think that that's a good idea at this tempo. So 1 slap, first position, E, F, A, G sharp, A, B, A, G sharp, F, E. On measure, the last note of measure 125, you're going to use an open E. Use that time to shift again to third position in 126 and do the same thing. 1 slap, open 1, 3, 2. The last note, that A in the second to last measure, shift to third position. Then the last measure, B, C, D with the second finger. D, E, F natural will touch. And then you're ending not on an E like you did before. You're going to go to your second finger and we're going to play this chord. So it'll be open D, second finger for high D, and then first finger a whole step behind it on the A string for that chord. So let's just walk through this for the first violins. 124, you've got D, slap, open E, shift, again, 1, slap, shift to fifth, back to 2, put your 1 on the A string, and then play the chord with open D. Beyond that, all of this bowing and counting we've talked about before, so I'm not going to go over it. You're doing a gigantic crescendo all the way through this. It doesn't give us an indication of where we're starting. In the previous section, we went up to forte and then decrescendoed into 120. Probably we would want to start pretty quiet. So I'm thinking, you know, if you start piano and then get all the way to triple forte at the end, we'll be good to go. So now I'm going to play each part through twice. First at eighth note equals 200, just to go through it slowly, and then I'll do it at the full eighth note equals 260. So here's the second violin part, 120 to the end, and I'm not going to worry about the accelerando, I'm just going to play it one tempo all the way through. And two, and ready, go, and. Okay, here's the second violin part now at the full tempo, which is eighth note equals 260. And two, and ready, go. It's really fun once you get the slap down. I think it adds a really cool texture. Okay, so here's the first violin part, first at eighth note equals 200. And two, and ready, go. And. And here's the first violin part at the full tempo, eighth note equals 260. And two, and ready, go. Okay, that's it. Have you practicing? You should be practicing now this section and the entire piece. I'm looking forward to hearing your recordings for this week, and I will see you on Monday. Okay, violas, so I'm not going to lie to you. This is kind of an awkward section fingering-wise, unless you're someone who just happens to love half position, in which case you're a psychopath. So I did my best. If you come up with something that you like better, that's fine. Just be really careful. Remember, we're going to be going pretty darn fast here, and if you're trying to do too much one-to-one sliding, it's either going to sound muddy, or it's going to be out of tune, or it's just going to slow you down. So let me just walk you through what I did and what I found that worked. Starting in 120, since you have to do the slap, what I found was that even though it might make sense otherwise to start in half position, I wasn't getting enough power on the slap with just two fingers. So I think we do need to start on a 1 on that low D. So you've got 1 slap, 2, 3, and then on the A, go into half position, 2, 1, 2. The 5/8 measure would be B, 3, 2, 1. Then reach and go back into first position for the F, E, and then you're back in 4, 4, and you would do it again. So one more time, it would be D, slap, E, F, half position, A, G sharp, A, B, A, G sharp, reach and go back into regular first position, F, E, D. So you repeat that multiple times, and then the only thing that changes is on the very last line. At the end of 126, you're going to want to bring, instead of staying in half position like we have been, your last 3 notes of 126 would be 2, 1, and then bring that 1 up. Then you would just go up in first position, B natural, C, open D, and then the last 4 notes would be D, E, F, D, and do play that as a double stop there. I'm going to go ahead and play this through once slower at eighth note equals 200, and then I'll play it through at the full tempo. And 2, and ready, and go. And here it is at the full tempo, eighth note equals 260. And 2, and ready, go. Okay, almost lost it there, but we made it barely. Happy practicing. You should be practicing this section as well as the whole piece now. I can't wait to hear your recordings for this week, and I will see you on Monday. Right, cello bass, last part of the last part. Cellos, you guys know that I am not the cello fingering expert, but if I were to suggest a fingering here, I would say in 120, D slap, 3, 4, half position for the A to the G sharp, 2, 1, 2, 4, 2, 1, stretch and go back into first position for the F, E, and then you're back at D first finger, and it just repeats over and over again all the way through almost till the last measure. If you come up with something better, go for it, but that's essentially what the violas are doing. Basses. I think the only way to get this done would be to take the entire section and put it up an octave, except for the last 4 notes, or I should say the 3/8 notes leading up till the last note. Again, this is a very athletic section. That's the only word I can think of. You have to be very agile. But the good news for you guys would be, since you're kicking it up the octave, you would be working with open D, which would make it a heck of a lot easier to get that slap since you're able to use your whole hand. The only other thing to mention is that last note. Cellos, go ahead and play that as a chord, and then basses, you can do it divisi, popping the low D up the octave. So basses, if you were on the outside, your last 4 notes would be open D, E, F natural, and then A first finger on the G string. And if you're on the inside, it would be open D, E, F natural, and then open D. I'm going to go ahead and play through it once at 8th note equals 200 just to do it a little bit slower, and then I'll play it at the full tempo. 2 and ready, here we go. And then here it is at the full tempo, 8th note equals 260. 2 and ready, go. Okay, that's it. So happy practicing. You guys should be practicing this section as well as the entire piece at this point. I can't wait to hear your recordings for this week, and I will see you back on Monday.